attention is your most valuable resource. That's how Facebook makes all its money. As they sell our attention. I was listening to a podcast, and I love that you brought up attention and time. And sometimes when you're setting goals, it isn't about what can I add to my plate in 2022. It's about what can I take away from my plate.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the Verity Podcast. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah to everybody. I don't know if that's happened yet or not. On the show here with my co-host, we're back. It's Monroe Miller with me as well. Dude, what's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. It's been a while.
It has. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks. Been busy.
Yeah. I don't think we've reconvened here since Thanksgiving and everything kind of came down. How was your Thanksgiving, man? I don't even know if I've talked to you about that.
Man, my Thanksgiving was good.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
What'd you guys do?
Drove all over Northern Virginia.
Same thing we're gonna do for Christmas, apparently.
Yeah, same thing we're gonna do for Christmas. So, yeah, when you have kids, the holidays are all about the kids seeing the grandparents, and so driving Winchester to Manassas to home to back.
I'm assuming both your parents live in this area.
Yeah, my parents live in the Manassas battlefield area, and her parents live out in Winchester. So
that's awesome. That's very fortunate. I wish my parents lived a little closer. We got to go to Michigan and do that whole thing, which was a super good time, man. But anyway, bringing it back here. So I walk in today, and Monroe's got sopping bunch of sweat on his back, and I'm like, "What are you doing, man? You working out?" And he's like, "No, I just got a tattoo." And Monroe, describe this tattoo. What's going on your back, man?
So they put so I've never used this stuff before, but it's like plastic wrap. But it's like a membrane. So I don't think you're supposed to work out with it. But, I mean, whatever, I did. Okay. So it's kind of gross right now. There's, the sweat kind of, pooled underneath it a little bit. So, I don't know. You're supposed to leave it on for, 3-4 days. Okay. I don't know if that'll last to the end of the night. But, we'll see. When
do you get to 3 or 4 days?
Today is the first day.
Okay, so we got to get through the weekend here. Well, that sounds good. I'm going to dive into a story about how I almost got a tattoo. I am tattoo-less.
You don't have any tattoos.
No, but I nearly did.
So before you go into your story, would you still to this day get a tattoo, or
That's a good question.
Would Sydney let you?
Yes, ultimately, I think she would.
Okay.
I don't think she'd be in favor of it, but ultimately, I think she would. I love the idea of a tattoo. I just don't know if I love the idea of it for, the rest of my life. I feel like I would like it for about maybe 5-10 years, and I would look at it eventually, and I'd be like, yeah, I don't really want this on me anymore. So that's a big decision, and I would rather not have anything than be full send it and just throw something on my body, which I was really fortunate in this story that this didn't happen. I was in Ocean City 2019 with my good buddy David Baldini. We were playing golf, having a good time, and we were on the golf course, and we were having a good day. And he's like, "Hey, you want to go get a tattoo tonight?" And I'm like, "Dude, yeah." So my sister had sent us something. So both my sisters, one of my younger sisters, my older sister, they have a bunch of tattoos, and they're like, "Hey, let's do something as siblings. Let's get it all together." And all my siblings were kind of rah on this, and we all wanted to do it. And it said something like, I don't know, no matter where. And it was cool. And I was like, oh, I'll just do that along the spine or something like that. And so we go down to the boardwalk in Ocean City. We go to the tattoo place. And apparently in Ocean City, in that county, you cannot get a tattoo in that county. So what they do is they pick you up from that location. You have to go to a separate county the next day. But they didn't have appointments that evening. They didn't have them until the next day, right? So we go back, and I get a whole night to sleep on it. And I had another buddy of mine, also Dave Karowski, good dude as well, who was like, "You sure you want to do this, man?" And I was like, I don't know. And so I got 24 hours to think about it. And the next morning, Dave's like, "All right, you ready?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then I get in the car, and I'm shaking the whole time. Into the car, I'm like, "Dave, I don't want to do this, man." And he's like, he had some colorful language for me, but
that's funny.
Yeah, ultimately I didn't do it.
Does he have tattoos?
Several, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, several. But yeah, so that's the story about how I almost got a tattoo. Anyway, so let's dive in. Let's jump into the topic at hand today. We're going to be talking about goals, 2021 is almost over, man.
Yeah.
And we have 2022 is going to be turning over. We're going to have New Year's resolutions coming up, and we just want to talk about the holidays. I want to talk about particularly how to. So my sister-in-law was talking to me about this. I heard something on the radio that absolutely drove me crazy. I actually want to start there. And so I want to talk about how to navigate the holidays, eating, nutrition, fitness, and then we're going to talk about goal setting, kind of going into the new year as well there, man. What goals did you have for yourself for 2021, Monroe, and how did those go?
So my goals for 2021 was, my big goal was to make more content, and I think I've done that. Like make more video content, especially. So I started a YouTube channel around last year, which, kind of one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this was because, if you are thinking about the new year and you're thinking about what you want to do next year, kind of give you a sneak peek to my synopsis of this whole topic is like, don't wait to start. Like, you should start doing whatever you're trying to do in the new year now. But yeah, started a YouTube channel around this time last year. No real expectations from it. I just, wanted to start posting on the platform, and I was having fun making videos. And that's kind of transformed into more short form videos and doing reels and that kind of stuff. But I've managed to be pretty consistent. So I'm almost at 500 subscribers after a year on YouTube, which I think is pretty cool. I'm like 440, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and when you talk about, subscribership, viewership like that, right? We have over 100 members, 150. I don't know exactly where your number's at, but like that's it, right? So I mean, your audience has expanded well beyond that.
For sure. Yeah, and it's cool.
That's remarkable, man. That's really good.
Yeah, it's cool. And like, when I kind of distill down like what I think my life's work is and my purpose, like it's really to help people figure it out with fitness and like, just kind of make sense of the whole thing. And having a gym, I can impact so many people. But social media, like the cool thing about it, there's bad things and good things, but being able to impact people that aren't right around here, is awesome. So, and it's cool when you see, like, I had one of my reels that I made for, and I usually make these like answer questions for people, like, or if it's something we're doing in the workout that day, I'll like see a coaching cue and kind of film it and make a reel out of it. But I had one get 85,000 views, which wild, to me, I was like, how? Why? So it's like, I've had
that's substantial.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
But I'm just having fun with it, and I have like, no expectation of it, and then it's not, other than trying to be consistent, that's the only, kind of goal that I have with it. So.
Yeah, man, that's solid. I really liked what you said about not waiting on goals.
Yeah.
So the way that I do goals, at least now, it's changed over the years. But like I do them basically on a weekly basis now. So like on Monday, I sit down and I'm like, all right, like, hey, what am I trying to accomplish this week? And I just try to take them in little bits. They're almost always work related and personal related. As far as fitness and everything goes, I honestly don't have any goals. I'm very satisfied with where I'm at. So it's pretty much just attendance, right? I want to go to jiu-jitsu twice a week. I want to do some bodybuilding once a week, and then I want to get 2-3 sessions of CrossFit within there. I want to feel good and kind of go from there, and honestly probably prevent injury more than anything else, which is something I'm kind of dealing with. But like goals for me, at least, now has been, I want one submission at work a week as far as that goes with integrated. There's some other personal related stuff that can either be financial. Right now it's making sure that I purchase Christmas gifts for my family and for my wife. Not particularly, I'm not going to say I'm not a great gift giver, but priority on that is typically relatively low. So for me to accomplish that, it's typically what I do. And yeah, go ahead.
So what was your big goal for, I guess, 2021?
Man, I didn't have one, right? So if I go back and I think about what I really wanted to do.
Well, get married?
Yeah. So 2020, man, it feels like so much has happened in this year, right? So at the turn of the year, I had stepped down from coaching at that point. I was like, hey, man, I got a plan on winning. I got to do all this. I got a lot going on. I just, I need some time off. And you were so kind to kind of work with me on that and allow me to continue, which was great. So yeah, I'm married now, but if I had to think back to like what I wanted to do back then, that was like number one goal was honestly to to be a much better recruiter. And thinking back to when I got some coaching help in regards to that, I read a lot more content. I was actually educating myself on how to be a better recruiter, reaching out to other professionals within that network who actually knew what they were doing. And like I said this on the podcast, I said two things, right? I'm not a good recruiter. Probably said that about a year ago, maybe a little more. Mm-hmm. And then I said I'm now a very good recruiter. That was very recent, right? And I still believe that. And but that was large part due to recognizing I really wasn't good at it beginning of the year, and then getting some coaching and really just educating myself and kind of going trial and error on how to really just best connect with people, get a hold of them, and just kind of move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've never been huge on New Year's resolutions. I'm more of right now certainly a week-to-week guy. And my goals are much more heavily focused on career-related stuff. They have been for fitness in the past. Like sometimes I've wanted to hit, I don't know, a certain weight, or I've wanted to snatch 225 pounds. That was a goal a year ago, which I've since hit. But that's not something that I've done in the past.
So I think that's really cool, and I think that even though this is a health and fitness podcast, and we talk about health and fitness and all that, you don't really have to have fitness goals. Like people. I think people see the new year and they're like, oh, new year, new me. And their first thought is like diet and workout, right? And I think that, if you are at a point where you're okay with your fitness, dude, like just have fun with it. Like you've already done all the hard work to, have the health in the body that you want. Like there's no reason to put any extra, time into it unless that's something that you want to do, and if you're taking away from attention in other areas of your life, like it's not going to be positive for you to continue to delve into fitness. But
yeah, and I will say it took me a long time to kind of get to the mentality that I'm at now. I think in the past, in the podcast especially, I'll try to at least reflect an attitude where I'm like, I don't really care where my snatch is. And that wasn't the case for a while. I had a hard time transitioning because I also used to run a gym. I think everybody just about knows that. And I viewed myself as a very good CrossFitter, and my lungs, particularly 2 years ago, were much better than they are today. And I had a really hard time transitioning from being the gym guy, really wanting to do well at CrossFit, and then transitioning that to, really my number one goal is to, provide for my family, have balance within life. I kind of want to do a little bit of everything. So I want to do well in work. I want to have a good family life. I want to see my friends outside of that. I want to go play golf. I want to travel. And there wasn't enough time for me to, keep up with somebody like Patrick Long, who in 2020 at that Open, I finished ahead of him worldwide. And then he just got, he put in the work. He was much stronger than I ever was. And I just didn't keep up with that. And I just looked at that and I'm like, man, I'm just falling behind. And it took me a while to really wrap my head and just be like, hey, like this isn't the goal. Like it's okay.
For sure.
That took a while for me to wrap my head around. And so for anybody else who's like, I don't know, maybe in that boat, it's okay. We don't have to go out there, kill it or anything like that. But I told my wife recently too, where, I feel very comfortable with where I'm at. Fitness-wise, physique, I'm super happy with what I'm doing. I'm doing a little bit of everything, right? I'm doing some bodybuilding. I do jiu-jitsu twice a week, and I do CrossFit. Depends, 3-4 workouts a week, maybe sometimes 2, depending how busy I am. But I've really enjoyed that balance recently.
No, that's cool. And I think balance is key, especially with fitness, because it is something that, and going back to resolutions and why that's not really the best way to look at it, you want health and fitness to be a part of your life forever. It's not something that you start and stop. You don't.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about it like, I need to start doing this on this date, you're probably already a little bit behind him, like the mindset of where you should be with it, So if you have fitness goals, I think that's great, and I think you should definitely attack that. But it definitely will play into the other areas of your life. And, what I've recognized a lot about coaching people recently, especially, is that, what you do outside of the gym is way more impactful than the actual workouts and what you're doing in the gym. The workouts in the gym should just be fun. And that's why I love CrossFit, because it's, every day's different. You come to class, you can just have a good time, and it's already all kind of taken care of for you. So as long as you're having fun with whatever you're doing, like, that's really enough, but the hard part is the stuff outside of the gym. So, eating healthy, and then sleeping, making sure that your stress from work isn't creeping into the other areas of your life. Like you said, it's all about balance. So
yeah, it definitely is. And when we talk about, even, goals that you're going to set, I don't know, now you're going into the holidays. So let's go to this topic. I had a good conversation with my sister-in-law. She's been killing it on the nutrition scheme, really kind of been motivated. We're going on a cruise in 2 weeks, and that motivated her to kind of change her life, eating style and everything like that. And she's like, I'm really nervous about going on the cruise and having all this stuff come off, because it's all you can eat. You could literally go get whatever you want.
Yep.
Kind of at that point. I think there's a large mentality that, like, around the holidays or the cruise, where it's like, well, now I just get to do whatever I want to, right? And this comes back to my earlier point where I was listening to the radio, and I never listen to the radio. I can't remember why I was listening to the radio, but I was. And there was some talk show host, and she had a caller calls in. She's like, hey, we're coming up to the holidays. I'm trying to, be a little bit better about finance and budget. And then, I'm trying to be pretty good about my eating. Like, how should I go about that? This jackass, whoever this was, who's on the radio show host, is like, let me quote some friend of mine that was do this. Around the holidays, just eat whatever you want and buy whatever you want. I'm like, that is the worst advice anyone could ever give anyone. It's like, sure, you give somebody permission to go do that. In short term, you're going to feel pretty good about yourself, right? Yeah. But in the long term, or January 2nd, when it comes up there and you step on the scale, or you look at your bank account, you're going to be like, oh shit, like, why did I do that, right? And you can manage this stuff, right? It's not to say that you can't enjoy, a Christmas Eve dinner or whatever it's going to be. And that is also going to be pertaining to, what your goals are, right?
100%. And I think, like, one thing that I also notice about the holidays especially is, like, people's mindset goes from, like, I can do this as a sometimes, like, 3 times a week kind of thing, to just, like, I'm just going to not do this at all.
Right.
And wait until the holidays are over.
Right.
I'll touch on the cruise in a second, but, like, this is one example that I've given with some of the clients that I work with, is if you think about Christmas Day, and you think about the 2 weeks, before and after Christmas Day, and then you think about New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and you think about the 2 weeks before and after that, that's 2 days that you can kind of have, like, the worst possible health and fitness, nutrition, whatever you want to call it, days.
Yeah.
And you're still only, having 2 bad days out of 4 weeks, so that's a month. Like, that's not bad. But what people do is they think, oh, there's, like, 7 days between Christmas and New Year's, like, and I already just ruined it on Christmas, so why even try until New Year's, And then you get into a habit where you're not in the habit of working out and having a healthy lifestyle. You're in the habit of having a poor diet and a unhealthy lifestyle. So
what would you suggest to those who are, let's assume, because I think for most people it'll fall into this category, that they're still trying to lose weight, kind of going into the holidays and everything like that, Monroe? What are some tips, tricks that you would encourage those who want to keep that going through the holidays, but maybe, partake in some elements?
I would just, like, try and recognize that, and this is what I said, go back to the cruise, try and recognize that there is no difference. Like, there is no difference that this is December. There is no difference that you're on a cruise. Like, sure, there isn't as readily available healthy choices, and it's not as easy to, block some things out of your way, but you can still eat meats and vegetables on a cruise.
Mm-hmm.
You can still get exercise on a cruise. You can still make better choices than, having all of the sweets and treats around Christmas time. You can have a lot of the Christmas meat. It's just like, it's one meal. And, people talk about Thanksgiving being this super high calorie, like, indulgent meal. It's like, turkey breast is really lean last time I checked.
Yeah.
So you can have a bunch of turkey, a small serving of mashed potatoes, some green beans, don't overdo it on the drinks, and
good to go.
Like, that's not really, like, that unhealthy of a meal. The problem is when people do stuffing and, gravy and all that, like, and they just pour everything on.
Pie, cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I would say is, everything in moderation. Like, if you look at the holidays like it's an all-out binge fest, then that's what it'll become to you.
Right.
If you look at it like this is just another, this is just one day, or this is just 2 days. This is just 3 days over the course of 2 months that, maybe I'm not going to be in the ideal situation to make the best choice. Whatever. If you look at it that way, that's not the norm. But if you make it the norm, then you're going to have a hard time come January 1st. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. And, so going into the cruise, a great example, I think, is, at least for me, right? So when I go into this, I'm not looking at the cruise as like, hey, and we had this conversation too. I'm not looking at that as like, hey, this is my opportunity to go, I don't know, eat as much ice cream or,
right.
Sandwiches or like, I don't know, bowls of cereal as I possibly can. I will stick to relatively consistently what I'm doing right now, right?
Yep.
I love to intermittent fast. I think that works really well for me, particularly when there's going to be options out there that are going to be for better food. There might be one day where I'm just like, all right, like I might just do whatever, but for the most part, I'm going to go there. I'm going to find really good servings of protein.
Yep. Try
to load up on vegetables and good related food. For the most part, I might have a dessert. Might do that. But I'm willing to guess that it probably won't, and that's my habit currently right now, right?
Exactly what you just said. That's your habit. That's what you normally do. So going on a cruise, like, even if you do deviate from what you normally do and you do indulge a little bit for a couple weeks, like, your habit is going to go back to what you normally are, which is, eating mostly clean. I think people who struggle with weight loss, especially and around the holidays, is that they haven't quite yet made the shift to health and fitness being a habit in their life. So this is, why I would not wait until New Year's to start this stuff, because you need to start building those habits now, especially if it's something that you want to carry over into the new year. Like, you should be working on trying to get to the gym, trying to find a gym membership, trying to figure out what your nutrition is going to be like, and build those habits before January 1st, so that once you do have that hit of motivation on January 1st, you're already like rolling and you're in the zone, you're already on your way to achieving your goal for the next year.
Yeah, man, let's break right there. We'll come right back.
Sure.
All right, guys. So jumping back into it, we're talking nutrition during the holiday time. Monroe has been suggesting to don't wait until January 1st to get your goals going. You don't need to do that. And something I want to touch base on, it's something I've really enjoyed. I picked this up from a book called The Compound Effect. Darren Hardy, if you haven't read that, that is a great read, and he just talks about getting like 1% better every day. But kind of how he expounded upon that I really enjoyed is he was talking about fitness, and he's just like, look, you don't have to go 0 to 100 within a day. I certainly tried to do this back in college. I was kind of in the contemplation stage. I would flirt with going to the gym, but I would try to have like every single meal would be perfect, whole foods, all that stuff, right from eating a bunch of processed stuff, doing all that stuff, right? So I've been working with my sister on this for nutrition, everything like that. And we started at a very gradual implementation where in the very first week I was just like, hey, just track what you're eating, right? Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Just track. I just want to take a look at what we're going to do, right? Week 2, I think we started to dive in to maybe a little bit of a macronutrient breakdown, or maybe she was just tracking protein or trying to be cognizant of those numbers. And it would just continue kind of week by week by week. Mm-hmm. And then, eventually we're 10 weeks in. We worked on a different skill kind of each week. And she's kind of gotten to where I wanted her to go as far as stuff goes. Saw really good results from that. So in regards to if you're just starting out doing all this stuff, you don't need to be perfect in all this stuff, right? So if you haven't done any sort of nutrition related regimen 7 days a week, like what if you just started with 1 or 2, right? Or like Monroe said, if you're going to enjoy, I don't know, New Year's Eve and Christmas Day, that's 2 days out of the month, and you've got 29 other days where you have the opportunity to do something good. What do you think about that, Monroe?
No, I think that's spot on. And I think especially when you have, when your habit has been unhealthy for so long, and when health and fitness hasn't been a part of your life for so long, then, having more days that are leading towards health or healthy goals, it's going to feel that's your habit is not healthy, right? So it's going to be harder to get over to that end until you get to the point where you have healthy habits all the time, and then it's harder to go the other way,
Yeah.
And so once you get on a roll, it's easier to keep going with it. But yeah, if you get into that all or nothing mindset where you're like, everything has to be perfect or I'm not successful, like that mindset is worse than the food that you're eating, to be honest. Just because whether you're doing something right or wrong, and this is why I don't like macro counting in MyFitnessPal anymore, is because if I say hey, you need 180 grams of protein. If you eat 160 grams of protein, you failed. If you eat 185 grams of protein, you failed, right? So there's such a small, and nutrition doesn't work like that. It's not that precise. It's not that specific on a day-to-day, meal-to-meal basis. And when you make it like that, it just takes away all of the great things about food, and makes it something that it's not, which is really, what you just want to focus on is the lifestyle of being a fit, healthy person. This is kind of the sometimes the simplest coaching is the best, where it's like, hey, just do the type of thing that you would expect the person that you want to be to do. So if you want to be a fit, healthy person, what do you think fit, healthy people do? They eat clean and they work out a couple times a week.
Yeah.
It's not, and if you just do those simple things and you break it down that basic, and you don't make it I have to hit my macros perfect every single day, every single time, it's just one thing, like you said. It's just, hey, this week let's try and track our food. Just see how much you're eating. Because we don't know if you're eating too much or too little if we don't know what you're eating, right? And then stack it like that. So I totally agree with you. Love that.
Yeah, and building upon, MyFitnessPal, that is something that I end up using, but not all, calories aren't equal, right? And I was a big, flexible dieting macro person.
Same.
For a long time I was. And I still like it to some extent,
Same.
right?
I think it has its place.
Right, but if you go, it's not even so if you ate whole, non-processed foods, wide variety of them, you might be able to eat more food than you're currently eating. And it would be less calories, right? And I'll use myself as an example because that's something I've been working really hard in my life right now, is to do that, is to basically have almost next to no process-related food. And I'm still trying to take in 2,800 calories, which for me would be maintenance related level, right? And I have a really hard time doing that
it's a lot of food.
with 4 meals a day. And I'm not so caught up in it, but I didn't hit it yesterday. I didn't hit it 2 days ago. And I feel great. But what you'll find is you might be able to eat more food. It's just it's less desirable food. It doesn't nearly taste as good. But there is, with sugars and refined foods, all it's going to give you is short-term satisfaction. It's in that moment, it's going to give that to you. And I know that's great, but if you can look long-term to that and get past that stuff, whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether that's dropping a few pounds or you're just trying to be healthy. We've just been kind of all through a pandemic. I think that woke a lot of people up to their health and well-being. And I think that's an important thing to kind of look at. And I heard that on a podcast one time where I was like, man, I can't remember the gentleman's name. It was a Joe Rogan podcast, Mark something. And he was talking about that. He's like, are the short-term results from eating sugar, are they really that worth it to you? And I'm like, man, that's a great way to kind of put that in perspective. And ultimately, for me, it's no, it's really not.
I mean, every decision that you make is either leading you towards sickness or fitness. So, if you think about that sickness, wellness continuum, sickness is on one side, fitness is on the other, and wellness is in the middle. So, what side of the equilibrium you on, and are the decisions that you're making leading you towards a fitter, healthier life or a life of sickness? And my buddy Scott, who we opened this gym together years ago, one thing he's like, hey, you're going to pay for your fitness, or you're going to pay for your health at some point. And he's like, I'd rather pay for my fitness and pay for the nice meat and the nice food and the supplements and the gym membership and all the he's got a full setup at his house, and he'd rather spend all of his money on that than on doctor's bills and, all of that stuff later down the line.
Yeah, that's a very, very good analogy. I like that a lot. So, even going back to this, guys, and we've talked about this before, we have nutrition coaching here. If you're completely lost, I think there's a lot of us out there. I certainly was in that camp at one time. I didn't have necessarily one-on-one coaching, but I found a program. It worked well for me. But we talked about asking for help kind of in the last podcast too, reach out to somebody, have a conversation, consultation, get put on the right track.
For sure. And we actually have a nutrition challenge coming up soon.
Talk to us about that, Monroe. What a good segue. Talk to us about what we're doing. So Sophie put together a nutrition challenge. It's going to be similar to the one that we did last year. We'll have a poster in the gym with all of your names written up on it. So you actually have to come into the gym to, mark off your
different challenges throughout the week. So it's a 6-week nutrition challenge. It's going to be habit-based, so same kind of thing we were talking about, just picking a few simple things to focus on each week. It's not going to be, you have to lose X number of pounds or whatever. It's just going to be a hopefully sustainable long-term thing that you can carry on after the challenge, but should be a good way to, just kind of kickstart your year. I'm going to do it. The Open is coming up, so that's kind of why I'm doing it.
Dude, the Open is coming up.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and people, I think that the other thing about nutrition challenges and people focusing on nutrition is at the highest level. I think that is another time, or at higher levels, once people have a comfortable level of health and fitness, if you want to see more progress in the gym, you likely need to spend more time on the things you're doing outside the gym than you're training, right? So I think a lot of people get to a point where they're like, oh, I can do all the workouts RX, I can do muscle ups. And then they're like, oh, I don't need to do a nutrition challenge. And it's like, yeah, but if you did this challenge, you'd probably fail instantly, So those, working on those things that aren't as fun as, working on your clean and jerk or your snatch, that's where the real reward, I think, comes in the fitness part, if you have goals in improving your fitness.
Man.
So I'm going to do the nutrition challenge, and Morgan's going to do it too. So
yeah, I wish that nutrition stuff was as fun as working on a snatch was. If it was, it would just make everything so much more enjoyable as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So, just to recap here about some stuff that we can do kind of going into the holidays. The first thing is don't wait on your goals for whatever you're trying to accomplish going into 2022. What are a couple ideas that you have for people, Monroe, for somebody who's looking to get started with whatever they would want to accomplish here during 2022?
Like I said, reach out to people now, figure out what you're going to do now, start planning now, because it is literally only 3 weeks away. There's, I think, some core habits that if you're looking back at 2021 and you're like, maybe I wasted a lot of time, or, I didn't accomplish what I wanted to, there's some kind of main and basic habits that you can work on in the new year that I think will help all areas of your life. One that I would like to start more of is reading and journaling. But fitness is one, nutrition is one, meditation is another, sleep habits, those kind of things. I think those are where the real bang for your buck are in improving the way you feel about your life. So that's kind of, where I would start as far as planning what you want to think about for next year. Set a goal and then figure out what's really holding you back. What's going to actually help you achieve that. If it's signing up for a gym membership, go figure that out. But for some of you, it may just be, you need to take more time to yourself, or you need to find a mentor, and I encourage you to do those things now. So, yeah,
man, that you had a lot of good stuff within that reply, man. I don't even know where I want to start with a lot of that stuff. Yeah, for me, when I sit down and I'm just doing the weekly thing, I'm trying to understand what is the larger goal, what am I trying to do? And for me, it's balance, right? I want to be good at work, but work is not going to consume my whole life, right? I've done that. I was miserable, and I want more than that, right? I want to have a good family life, so I got to make time for that. I want to see my friends, so I got to make time for that. I want to go to the gym, I got to make time for that. And then I'll also sit down and I also go, okay, because everybody's only I struggle with this every day. I only have 24 hours, right? Mm-hmm. 8.5 of it is gone because I need sleep, and I need about that much sleep to feel pretty good on a day-to-day basis.
Most of you do, by the way.
Any less, I can do it, but it doesn't go very well. And so I often will sit down and I will also just think about okay, where can I get more time back, right? And every week, it's stop looking at shit on your phone. Yeah. Stop looking at stuff on social media. Right? I get caught up in reading news articles. I get caught up in scrolling sometimes, not as much, because I actually took every single social media application off my phone, which was a godsend, okay? But I mean, for me, if what I'm reading on my phone, what I'm going through on my phone really isn't adding value to my life in any capacity, it's just a waste of time. Yep. It really is. And like whatever you could be working on or enjoying, right? Like, is it more worth it to me to like read some particular news article that, I don't know, I don't really need to be caught up on? Or is that time going to be better spent sitting down physically next to my wife, like watching Netflix?
Yep.
It's the latter.
Yep.
Without question.
Even though that's like maybe won't further your career or whatever, or further you towards your goal, it's going to be more beneficial holistically.
No, but it's part of the balance, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's part of that stuff. So I'll sit down. I also look at that stuff. You know, what to eliminate from your day, what to eliminate from your life. In all honesty, in regards to that as well. Like, I don't know. I wish I could have more friends, but I don't have time for everyone. You just don't, right?
That's okay. You know, and like I think that you're being at a point in your life where you can recognize that that's a very big point of maturity. You know, and your attention is your most valuable resource. You know, that's how Facebook makes all its money. you know, as they sell our attention. And I was listening to a podcast, and I love that you brought up attention and time. You know, and you know, sometimes when you're setting goals, it isn't about what can I add to my plate in 2022. It's about what can I take away from my plate.
I think there's a lot of it for me where it's like, what was I talking to Sydney about yesterday? I can't remember what I was talking about, but she looked at me and she's like, "Where are you possibly going to find time for this?" I'm like, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, guess we can't do it.
Like,
it's like
my days are packed. I wake up a little before 7, probably close to every single day, and I go all the way till 8 o'clock at night doing something, whether it's work, gym, education, and then some little stuff in between. But I don't watch Netflix at all, like during that time, right? The only time I'll like watch stuff is with Sydney.
Yep.
You know, kind of at night. It's kind of what we do from time to time, but you've only got so much bandwidth within the day.
No, it was interesting. I was listening to Daily Stoic podcast, Ryan Holiday's podcast. Love it. But he was telling a story about, you know, same kind of thing. And he was like, you know, people, if someone stole money from you, you'd be like really upset, you know, but if someone steals your time, it's like not as big of a deal to you.
Wow.
You know, and he's like, money you can always make more of, you know, but time is time and attention is a finite resource. You only have so much of it. And the further you get in your life, the less you have. But like if your neighbor calls you over and is talking to you for an hour about something that's wasting your time, like you're less likely to be like rude to that person and step away from that conversation, you know, than you are if like someone's stealing $100 from you. But if you're worth $100 an hour, like it's the same thing,
right?
You know, but we just don't think about it like that. So
my best friend, I think he read a book, and the whole concept of the book was, what if our currency was time? Instead of money, right? So say that in your bank account you had 80 years. Like, what would you spend that on? Right?
Dude, that's how it actually works, though.
That is isn't that a crazy concept when you flip it like that and you think about that stuff? Like that makes me want to get like every minute out of everything that I possibly do.
For sure.
Right, and when I'm and you see me like in and out of here, like, dude, I'm a madman when I walk out. I'm sprinting out. Like, as soon as I get out of my jiu-jitsu class, I'm like looking at the email on my phone. Like, I will pride myself. There's not a lot of wasted time. I'm not going to say I never do that because that's not true of anybody probably, but there's not a lot of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole point to that was when you're sitting down to do the goal setting is you can get more time. You can make time for a lot of shit in your life. But you got to look at your life and be like, where the heck is the time suck coming from?
Yep.
My guess is I'm willing to bet is your phone's probably number one, social media related applications, probably Netflix, TV, that sort of thing, and you can get a little bit more out of that, right?
Yep.
Cool.
No, I love that.
Yeah, man. Where do you want to go from here?
I think we should close it up. I thought
man.
that was good.
Okay, cool. All right, you guys. Closing thoughts. I'll go first here. We got a lot of actionables that you can do. Okay, if you're somebody who's brand new and you're looking into this, I would probably encourage you to reach out to one of the coaches out here, get an idea of where you need to be on track. There's a lot of information. There's some good information, and there's a lot of bullshit out there. The coaches understand this. They're experts at it. They know what they're going to be talking about in regards to this and asking for help. I talked about this last time on the podcast. is something I wish I would have done when I first started CrossFit, more than just about anything else. Okay. So I'm going to say that. Monroe, what do you got? Closing thoughts, man.
Sign up for the nutrition challenge. You can register in the Verity app, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Monroe Miller. And yeah, I'm ready for the new year. If you need help with any of this stuff, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, if you guys got fitness related questions, we would love for you to send them over to us. That actually helps us create content here. We'll do whole episodes on particular questions, or sometimes we'll answer a few. So you guys can either send those over to Monroe, or you guys can comment back on social media. Any of that stuff's going to be totally fine. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, if you guys would like the video, that would be fantastic. And if you guys are listeners on Apple Podcasts, if you guys could go down there, smash the 5-star review button for us, that would be greatly appreciated. You're listening to the Verity Podcast, guys. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody.